So let's start to our webinar. A very warm welcome to the webinar, How to Make the Invisible Visible, Communication on Groundwater. We wait a little bit till participants are dropping in. But yeah, let's start with a communication in our own case. So welcome to our webinar. My name is Michael Eichholz. I'm from the Sector Project Policy Advice on Groundwater from the Federal Institute for Geosciences and Natural Resources from BGR, and we're part of the German cooperation. So today's agenda is, I will start with a short introduction, why communication on groundwater matters, and after that we will hear two interesting examples from Jordan and from Zambia that shows us how different institutions are communicating groundwater issues to different communities. And after that, this is an interactive session. We have plenty of time for questions and answers. And therefore, I will ask you, please ask your questions, give comments, critiques, and discussions, all in the passable chat box you will find in the conference platform you might have seen already. So it's not within the Zoom, but in the conference platform. So to start with the topic, communication in groundwater management, why this matters. First, we can have a look on how groundwater management comes together. We see science-oriented people, often hydrogeologists, practitioners in water authorities and utilities, and some politicians in local, regional, and national administrations agreeing on groundwater management measures. Communication within this sector is not always straightforward, but after some years, people are more or less trained to talk and understand each other. So we could describe this maybe as a communicative comfort zone, so to say, and some say also as sometimes as a sector silo. So now it is important to see that groundwater management is implemented, and this needs action. However, key actors to implement groundwater management and protection are found outside of the traditional water sector. Groundwater polluters, for example, from industry, mining, agriculture to households. Groundwater users from agriculture, urban greening, for example, utilities and private boreholes. And also land users, especially from planning authorities, land developers, and farmers, because the way the land is used has an influence on the quantity and quality of groundwater recharge. To trigger the right action towards a sustainable groundwater management, targeted communication to these actors is crucial. The aim is to share knowledge and to achieve a common framing of the problems and solutions of groundwater management, because this is a cornerstone for the needed changes in practices and behavior. And ideally, the communication is not just one way, but opens the space for informed stakeholder participation in the sense of good groundwater governance. So now let's have a look on how our partner projects in Jordan and Zambia worked on this. And I would first start with our project activities in Jordan. So we will see now documentation how groundwater issues have been worked to a cartoon in Jordan. So please pay attention to our first example.
Hello.
Hi.
This is Imad Hajjaj from Jordan. Very happy to join you. I'm afraid I didn't hear the last sentence you just said, but I am happy to be with you here in this meeting about groundwater specifically in Jordan. I'm part of a project as a cartoonist, as an artist. I have been involved in this project in some public awareness effort to let people see the facts about the groundwater in Jordan. My job as a cartoonist, as you know, is dealing with daily life, talking about everyday matters, jokes, politics, etc. But when you're talking about a very essential or important issue such as the groundwater of Jordan, it might seem boring for some people. So this is why comes my job here as a cartoonist to represent this fact or these living realities that we are dangers about water, to present it in a very, let me say, more friendly way to the viewers in Jordan, specifically some categories like students or young people. So cartoon would be the right way to talk about this issue, about it.
Thank you, Ahmad. We will just start now with a video we produced and have after the videos from Jordan and from Zambia a question and answer session where we go more into detail to your work. So thank you for the moment and let's start to see the video.
يعني الحقيقة واقع المياه في الأردن هو واقع حرج ومعلوم لدى الجميع، وبالتالي يعاني الأردن من استنزاف لمعظم مصادر المياه وخاصة المياه الجوفية اللي بسبب الضغط المتزايد عليها خلال السنوات الماضية، وبالتالي هذه المياه تعرضت لتراجع بكمياتها ومستوى الأحواض الجوفية، وعم بنواجه صعوبات كثيرة في تعريف عدد مختلف شرائح المجتمع والمقيمين على أرض المملكة الأردنية الهاشمية بهذا الواقع من خلال حملات مكثفة ونشر رسائل إعلامية مختلفة. وهناك صعوبات في توصيل هذه الرسائل لمختلف الشرائح، حيث أنه ليس الجميع مدرك لهذا الواقع المائي اللي بنواجهه فيه هذه الأحواض الجوفية.
How serious water problem in Jordan is, I'll tell you it's very serious. And one of my main theme in cartooning is to get engaged with many myths and false information or rumors about water crisis. I think it's one of our major priorities in Jordan to focus on this problem and present the right information for our people to make them realize the situation. And this is the job of the cartoonist from my opinion.
نحن نستخدم جميع الوسائل المتاحة لإيصال رسائلنا بالتعاون مع مختلف الجهات، وعلى سبيل المثال ما تم إعداده من فيلم أبو محجوب اللي هو قريب من واقع الناس ومن لسان الناس في التعبير عن أنفسهم. لذلك كان هذا الفيلم حقيقة مشكور المعهد الفيدرالي الألماني الBGR على إعداد وتنفيذ هذا الفيلم اللي مثل حالة فعلا انتشرت بأوساط المجتمع وتم نشره عبر الفيسبوك وتويتر وعلى مختلف وسائل التواصل الاجتماعي وعبر وسائل الإعلام، ووصلت الرسائل وصار في وعي أكبر لدى الإخوة المواطنين في مختلف المناطق بواقع المياه سواء المزارعين أو مختلف شرائح المجتمع الأخرى.
Talking about my cartoon character Abu Mahjoub, I think known as a cartoon character, popular to many people. He's representing the man of the street, the ordinary people in Jordan. Many people know this cartoon character. It is running for about 25 years so far. So many generations of Jordanians really know and relate to Abu Mahjoub, and he's somehow representing many things in Jordan. And this is how important this cartoon character to be involved on real problems of Jordan.
احنا الحقيقة يعني بنحاول نتأكد من وصول الرسائل للمواطنين ومختلف الشرائح الموجودة على أرض المملكة الأردنية الهاشمية من خلال التواصل المستمر معهم. هناك استجابة كبيرة بنتيجة التعاون بيننا وبين المؤسسات، مثل التعاون بيننا وبين المعهد الفيدرالي الألماني الBGR في عمل فيديو عن أبو محجوب. وهو شخصية أردنية قريبة للواقع، مثلت في واقع المياه الجوفية فبالتالي يعني في استجابة وهناك وعي لدى المواطنين باستجابتهم وتعريفهم بهذا الواقع، وهذا إن دل على شيء يدل على نجاح هذه الحملات المطبقة، وخصوصا مثل ما ذكرنا الفيلم اللي تم إعداده مع المعهد الفيدرالي الألماني مع أبو محجوب.
إيه يابا، هاي المي مقطوعة والخزان فاضي. معقولة هيك؟ أبوي سواق تنك مية وإحنا مقطوعين من المية؟
ما هو المثل بيقول باب النجار مخلع. المشكلة
The main audience for any cartoonist is the mass, is everyone simply. Cartoonist is making jokes for everybody. But when you talk about cartooning in awareness, I'll be focusing more on younger generation and basically on children and younger people, and making use of the jokes and the cartoons to deliver my message.
يابا امبارح لفيت على كل الجيران وما حدا أعطاني نقطة مي، بدي أتحمم والمي بعدها مقطوعة.
شو بدي أسوي لك يابا إذا المي بعدها مقطوعة؟ قوم معي نشوف النحل. وبعدين
Now that we have the Abu Mahjoub movie about the water, we did our movie. Now it comes to the people who will broadcast it. If you ask me, I think it will be a wonderful thing to present to our children who are seeing, love the art of animation. It's a very powerful media or art to tackle the imagination of our children. Yet this movie is a bit different. It's not a fictional thing. It is from real Jordanian reality. It's about everyday life in Jordan. I expect this movie to be broadcasted for the schools, for the universities, for many people who are interested in humor that have a message in Jordan.
يعني احنا لا شك انه بحاجه الى مزيد من الدعم، واحدى التحديات اللي بتواجهنا لايصال الرسائل الاعلاميه وتوعيه المواطنين هي قله الدعم المتاح لمثل هذه البرامج، وبالتالي لابد من تكثيف حملات التوعيه وحملات الاعلام بخصوص هذا الموضوع لتعريف المواطنين، ومختلف الشرائح حقيقه تحتاج هذا الموضوع خصوصا بالمدارس والمزارعين بالمؤسسات وغيرها من الجهات، حتى الضيوف اللي على أرض المملكة الأردنية هاشم من اللاجئين وغيرهم.
I think it's important for cartoonists like me and any artist to get involved in our own community's problem, and on top of them is the water shortage issue or problem. And I think that every artist can contribute from his place and add to this awareness and making a bigger awareness about this problem in Jordan.
أكيد إحنا وصلنا لمرحلة استنفاذ المياه الجوفية، والميات اللي حوشناهن عبر هالسنين استهلكناهن بسنوات قليلة. ولو فرضنا إنه نزلت أمطار وقعدنا نخزن من أول وجديد، بدنا عمر لما نعبي مخزون جديد. بصراحة الله يستر.
So thank you for the first video, and we will start right with the next example from Jordan, and therefore I give the floor to Mona and Rebecca from Jordan.
Thank you. Hello.
مرحبا بكم. أنا الدكتورة منى ذهبية، متخصصة بعلم الهيدروجيولوجي. في بلدي الأردن نتحدث دائما عن المياه الجوفية وعن خزاناتها الموجودة في أعماق الأرض، مع أننا لم نرها أبدا. والسؤال: كيف تبدو هذه الخزانات تحت أقدامنا؟ المجسم الذي أمامنا هو يمثل فهمنا للنظام الهيدرولوجي. يمكنكم أن تروا الامتداد الجغرافي للطبقات والتعاقب بين الطبقات الكتيمة والطبقات المائية. نحن هنا الآن نقف على طبقة البازلت، والبازلت يمتد في شمال المملكة، ويوجد العديد من حقول الآبار المهمة لإمدادات العاصمة عمان بالمياه. البازلت يتميز عن غيره من التكوين باتصاله بالطبقات السفلية، وذلك من خلال الصدوع وشقوق التبريد. أسفل طبقة البازلت تتوضع طبقة الB4 B5 في تكويني أم مرجان ووادي الشلالة. الطبقة مكونة من الحجر الجيري الطباشيري والحجر الجيري المارلي، كما ويتخللها بعض التوضعات للمارل الطيني. يعمل المارل الطيني كطبقة عازلة، إلا أنه بشكل عام تعتبر طبقة الB4 B5 من أهم الطبقات المائية لإمدادات المياه. ننتقل الآن إلى الطبقة العازلة الأهم في الأردن، طبقة الB3، وهي تمتد في تكوين موجر. يمكن العثور عليها في المناطق الشمالية الشرقية من المملكة والوسطى الشرقية، ويوجد بها معظم احتياطات خام الصخر الزيتي. والآن الخزان الأكثر أهمية في الأردن، طبقة A7B2، هي تمتد في 3 تكاوين جيولوجية، وتوجد في شمال الأردن ووسطها. تم حفر العديد من الآبار في هذه الطبقة، ويتم ضخ المياه الجوفية منها باستمرار، لذا فإن أجزاء عديدة منها جفت ولم يعد بالإمكان استخراج المياه منها، وأصبح علينا أن نحفر الآبار بشكل أعمق ونصل إلى الطبقات التالية. مجموعة A1 A6، والتي تمتد في شمال ووسط المملكة، تتكون من الحجر الجيري والمار، لذا فإنه غالباً ما يتم التعامل معها على أنها طبقة كتيمة، إلا في بعض المناطق حيث يسود الحجر الجيري. في هذه الحالة من الممكن استخراج المياه الجوفية منها. وأخيراً إلى أعمق الخزانات المائية، تعرف بطبقة المياه الجوفية العميقة، مؤلفة من عدة تكاوين جيولوجية. المكون الغالب لها الحجر الرملي. تمتد الطبقة بشكل متواصل في جميع أنحاء الأردن، إلا أنها لا تتكشف على السطح إلا في جنوب المملكة كوادي رم مثلا. عدا عن ذلك يتم تغطيتها بالتكاوين الجيولوجية التي تتوضع فوقها. والمياه الجوفية الأحفورية في الخزان الرملي العميق مهمة جدا لإمدادات المياه الأردنية. يتم ضخها من جنوب الأردن وتنقل عبر خطوط الأنابيب إلى العاصمة عمان. يمكنكم أن تروا سماكة هذه الطبقة مقارنة بالطبقات الأخرى. هذا المجسم ثلاثي الأبعاد هو أحد الطرق التي تستخدم لشرح ما تحت الأرض، إلا أنه هناك طرق أخرى من الممكن استخدامها.
Hello, I'm Muna Dahabia. As you have seen, Jordan is one of the poorest countries in water. That's why we needed to understand our hydrological situation. With the cooperation with the PGR, we were able to build the structure model that you have seen it, And then we could transform it to a hydrological model. With this model, we were able to manage our groundwater resource, understand from where we can drill a new wells or a new well field, and where is the critical situation or the hotspot that we really have to consider it. It was really great work with the PGR, and hope you really enjoyed the movie that you have seen.
Thank you very much, Mona, and thank you for the 2 videos from Jordan, which shows us really interesting approaches how to communicate groundwater to the public and also to the policy space. And now we would like to travel to Africa, to Zambia's capital, Lusaka, where we can find another example of groundwater communications, of how groundwater is communicated among the citizens, among the communities of Lusaka. And therefore, we would like to start with an example, with a video. And afterwards, we have colleagues from Lusaka Water that can explain us how the activities are being realized and give us more details. So please pay attention. We will start.
Lusaka is Zambia's capital and the country's largest city. The city's population is estimated at over 1.7 million, with a growth rate of 4.5%, representing one of the highest in the region. The World Bank estimates Lusaka's population will grow to at least 5 million by 2035. With this projected increase in population, a corresponding rise in the demand for water is also expected. Currently, Zambia's biggest water utility, the Lusaka Water and Sanitation Company, is grappling to meet the city's estimated daily water demand of around 450 million litres. With a daily production capacity of just over 200 million litres, this leaves a deficit of nearly 250 million litres per day. The company and the government are investing in infrastructure development and groundwater protection activities to close this deficit. Considering that 60% of the water supplied to Lusaka residents is from groundwater sources, enhancing the security of groundwater in Lusaka is cardinal. Groundwater sources such as boreholes are threatened with contamination due to encroachment or man-made impacts around the facilities. Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company is investing in information, education and communication activities aimed at engaging various stakeholders, especially in the peri-urban areas, on the need to protect groundwater.
For us, we link water with life. So even our motto as a utility company is that water is life, and when we are communicating to the public or the community, we bring issues of water quality being affected by issues of polluting groundwater, and if there's over obstruction of the groundwater itself, the quantity will be reduced. So this means that access will not be available.
Access to clean and safe water underpins public health and is therefore critical to sustainable development and a stable and prosperous society. However, access to clean and safe water remains a challenge owing to the many unsanitary human behavior factors, including the extensive use of unlined pit latrines and the indiscriminate disposal of waste, which have proved to be obstacles to communication initiatives on groundwater protection. Challenging as this is, it is not all doom and gloom, because Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company is raising awareness on groundwater protection through regular interaction with communities. The developed groundwater vulnerability map of Lusaka by the German Federal Institute for Geosciences and Natural Resources is also used as a planning and awareness tool to sensitize the community and relevant stakeholders on how to protect groundwater resources.
It is very important for us as a utility to preserve the groundwater, because we abstract 60% of that water which we supply to the residents of Lusaka from the ground. And one of the strategies that we are using to communicate and to give that visual illustration of the vulnerability of the groundwater in Lusaka, we have come up with a map which shows the vulnerability of water in Lusaka. And that is what we use when we have these meetings with stakeholders, to just illustrate how vulnerable the water resource is in the city of Lusaka. That is why we have to invest in protecting groundwater using a number of strategies at our disposal.
One of the most important key message for me in creating awareness is making customers as well as users appreciate the importance of a service that they receive. For instance, in our business, water and sanitation service provision, the key message is to make everyone understand the importance of protecting that most important service, which is water supply.
To enhance interaction at community level, TAP meetings are held at the water kiosks with the respective members of the community.
The TAP level meetings are very effective, because when you are talking to someone on a one-to-one, they feel honored and they feel like they are part of you. So when we visit them, they know that now our partners have come. When we introduce the topic, they wear the sense of ownership. Whatever we discuss with them, they feel to be part of whatever you have agreed at a meeting. When we engage our customers through the TAP level meetings, we feel like we are doing what we are expected to do, because Lusaka Water has core values. One of the core values is teamwork. So when we discuss with our customers, when we discuss with our users, we are engaging them to be part of us, and it promotes teamwork.
Community residents are educated on groundwater protection, water tariffs, service level guarantees, good sanitation and hygiene practices to avoid the outbreak of waterborne diseases.
Mamaski ayenela kuvala mamaski chifukwa kuti lamulo inabwela kutokela kuboma kuti kuvalani mamaski kuti munzichingirize kuli corona. Then chitambala ayenela kuvala chitambala olo chisote chifukwa kuti akanyaula mumutu tunali kuona kumbuyo huku kasisi kakangena mmanza ati awe ine mbaketi yanga mlisisa taya manza. So kuja kwenze kuononga. Tuacha a shortcut muzibwela na vitambala olo chisote.
Despite these communication efforts to create awareness on groundwater protection, some community members have continued with the illegal practice of indiscriminate dumping of solid waste at borehole sites, while illegal open-pit stone mining near the boreholes remains rife. In any sensitization campaign, there are those that lag behind. Despite knowing the dangers of using untreated water, they continue to use water from shallow wells, at least not for drinking.
Nimatilamu klorini, nimatilamu 1 liter, jamani nimatilamu, manzi moja. Kutila tuja tudoyo tuame tulimo moja tungachite bwanji, tufeko. Manzi aja sinipikira manzi aja. Nisewe nisachabe kuwasha, na kuchita bwanji na kusamba. Ngati manzi ya kukajima ya chepa mnyumba.
Water shortages, conflicting demands for water, and environmental pollution from human activities threaten the availability and quality of groundwater in Lusaka, Zambia. On their part, the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company recognize these challenges, yet protecting groundwater remains key.
The most difficult aspect is the issue that groundwater is a hidden resource. So when we talk about issues that affect groundwater, the community find it difficult to appreciate something which they cannot see. We've seen an appreciation in terms of efficient utilization of the water itself, but also there are also the efforts of reducing in terms of the disposal of the solid waste, which has a high impact in polluting the groundwater resource.
Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company, with support from cooperating partners such as the German Federal Institute for Geosciences and Natural Resources, is focusing on improving the quality of groundwater management and protection in order to facilitate equitable provision of safe drinking water to all user groups and to ensure supply under varying conditions.
Okay, thank you. So these are two countries with 3 examples of how to communicate groundwater to different target audiences, and we have now the chance to speak with the people that appeared in the videos, and you have the chance to ask them questions via the passable chat box. So please feel free to post your questions there. We will be happy to answer them, and we have quite some time to do so. So first of all, I would like to present the speakers from Lusaka Water and Sewage Company and Sanitation Company, sorry. We have Mr. Jonathan Kampata, the Managing Director. We have Mr. Nshamba Musungu. We have Mr. Kabisa Miwayaluka. We have Mrs. Yvonne Siyeni, and we have Mr. Chisoma Musonda, who are, thanks for being here and for answering our questions. And we have from Jordan, Mrs. Mona Dahabiye, Mr. Imad Hajjaj, and Mrs. Rebecca Bals, who will answer our questions regarding Jordan. So first of all, I will start with a question for the colleagues in Lusaka. We got now an interesting insight into your outreach and communication activities at the community level, but also many decisions affecting groundwater are taken on other levels, and for example, in the areas of urban planning and policy making. And I would like to hear how do you address these areas of urban planning, of policy making with your within your outreach activities. So anybody of you, please feel free to answer.
Yeah, thank you for that question. For us in Lusaka, the protection of groundwater is not a matter of choice. It's actually a necessity, because Lusaka is located on a very rich karst aquifer, and we get 60% of the water supply from the groundwater. So in order to have the multi-stakeholder approach to the protection and management of groundwater, we've actually working through a multi-stakeholder platform, which is called the Lusaka Water Security Initiative. And through this initiative, we have partners from the private sector, the regulators of water sources management, which is the Water Sources Management Authority, WAMA. We're working closely also with the Lusaka City Council, which is the local authority, and some of the major water users within the city of Lusaka. And through this initiative also, we are going to do what we call the local area management plans. These are decentralized management plans within the city of Lusaka that are focusing on issues of improving issues of soil waste management, for instance, as well as the zoning of water protection zones. We're working with BGR to do that mapping. Then also we're going to influence decision making by the environmental management agency that gives different licenses for developments. For example, if someone wants to put up a filling station, for example, they have to apply for a permit to actually do that. Now, with the work we are doing of communicating protection of groundwater, we'll be able to influence that in certain designated areas which are close to water production sources, will not allow the development of any activities that are unsustainable and give a threat to the quality and quantity of the groundwater resources.
Thank you. Anything to add on this? So if not, maybe I will follow up with a question. Yeah, Mr. Muzungu, please.
Thank you very much. Just to add on to what Mr. Kampata has said, in terms of communication at household level, what we do is that our communication is informed by cultural, social, and economic circumstances of the people. And if you noticed in the video, we have these household or water kiosks meetings that we have with the people. In that way, we are able to communicate effectively on the importance of protecting underground water to the household owners. And mostly you see that it's the women. Now, in terms of the social circumstances of these people, I think also we have issues of high illiteracy levels. And so in order to engage these people and to make them understand, you have to employ interpersonal communication strategies. And that is why we really have to go to the ground to engage them. In addition to that, the other level of communication engagement has to do with the media. The media play a very important role because they are always covering stories from the communities. And so what we've done over the years is to engage the disseminators of information to create understanding, first of all, on this technical subject of groundwater. And then it is against that background that we think that once we create awareness with the disseminators of information, then we should be able to, they should be able to inform the general public in a more accurate way, in a more positive way, and in a more balanced way. So that is how we've been engaging the media, as well as the members of the community, especially those in the peri-urban areas who are to a large extent more affected by this situation. And we talked about the map, which was developed with support from BGR, the vulnerability map. That is the map that we use to illustrate the vulnerability of groundwater during these workshops and focus group meetings. So even for the media workshops that we've had, that is one of the maps that we've used to just show the extent to which the water is vulnerable in the city of Lusaka. And also when engaging the planners, like Mr. Kampata mentioned earlier, in those meetings, that map becomes a very important tool to just help people visualize, because obviously the issue of groundwater is a very difficult subject to visualize. So that map really helps to to inform the discussions at policy level. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Muzungu. And I think it really gets to what we mentioned earlier also. It's about sharing the knowledge and in a way that our stakeholders who need to take action also digest this information. And maybe this leads me to a question for the colleagues in Jordan, where we have seen a very interesting example of how to translate hydrogeological knowledge into a model, and also how to translate it by a very different form and media into a cartoon. So a question that was raised also in the chat was, is there a statistic or some kind of measurement of success of how your cartoon has been received in the public, or do you have any ideas how to measure some change or progress in this?
Well, I think it's a bit early to judge on this. We are still preparing for the rights presentation for this comic video. And actually we have another media, along with that video, we have a comic book that explains the story in more detailed manner, with numbers, with some diagrams and some figures that shows the layers of Jordan and many in detail issues. So it's still in the beginning. Maybe my partners from the BGR can give you some plan or their actual plan in broadcasting or presenting these artworks to the public. But before judging on these materials, I think involving art and cartooning in public awareness in water-related issues is very effective way in Jordan. People here see cartoons to tackle the issues about wars and struggles, and it's really good to present issues or water facts issues through such a different medium, which is the comics and the cartoon. So judging on previous campaigns, I think people will like it, hopefully.
Maybe Mona and Rebecca from the ministry side, do you have any ideas of how your activities, the model has been received by the stakeholders?
As Imad has mentioned, we published the video right now on the media channels of the ministry. But our main aim with the video, as Imad said, it's a very well-known cartoon figure, is to actually broadcast it on the Jordanian TV and on the radio stations, and as well have a new launch together with Imad on also social media channels to really reach a wider, broader audience. The Ministry of Water and the Water Authority, of course, have a lot of followers, but to really expand our group of people we would like to reach, we will then have the cooperation with Imad together. But this is something we have only planned for the next month or the month after to start, and then we can give a wider feedback. In general, public awareness activities should be monitored by a council from different entities to really give us feedback and the ministry feedback how our awareness material was reaching the public and if it had any impact.
Maybe to Mona, a follow-up question on this. The model of the aquifers, it was really impressive to see how hydrogeological knowledge is becoming tangible within within a puzzle. So could you describe more or less the process idea behind this, the difficulties you faced maybe before creating this puzzle in communicating your issues to the decision makers?
Okay, well, it's a work of 1 year. It's a very long process. It's maybe this cooperation have been for maybe 30 years or more, and we're still working on to produce stuff. But the idea hadn't been started that. We started to gather data, understanding beneath, trying to visualize it so that can explain it to the decision maker so he can take the decision easily. And that after collecting lots of data from the wells, the drilled wells for the formation, geological formation that we have it in Jordan, either water wells or the petroleum wells, a lot of wells separated all over Jordan, and then tying together these data and to correlate, make the correlation between it and building this structure model. And after that, we used all the monitoring data and our standing from the hydrological process, from where water comes, from where it goes, how does it affected by the elevation and the drawdown that happened by the extraction of the wells, whatever. And we built this model. We put all these equations and tried to build it and to really calibrate it with our real data to make sure that it's really working well, or at least giving us the what is maybe similar to what we have it as much as possible that we have it. And then after that, we started to use has been finally using this model. For example, drilling a new well field and then examining what is going to happen in this aquifer, how is the drawdown is going to be, is it going to affect the other wells in the surrounding area? Not use of it is using we have a sustainability for such aquifer. We have all the wells that all the agricultural wells in aquifer. So it's going to be sustainable. It's going to happen in the next years or 50 years. And what action could we take to stop this damage that could happen in this aquifer? We tried to build a scenario understanding the effect of the climate change and how it's going to be in the future. Building another scenario, we really start using the agricultural water and transform it to drinking water, and all that really affecting your policy and the climate change, of how it's affect our water policy, of really giving the priority for water use and how we are going to use it, the policy of the economical value of each liter of water. It has been used widely in the multi-sectional, and that's why it's really have been really a good helpful tool in managing the water resource.
Thank you very much.
Really describe how we build it.
Yeah, and I would like to follow up with, or I would like to remind you that the chat is still open to post your questions. So please feel free. We will ask them right away. And meanwhile, I have another question for the colleagues in Lusaka. So you told us about your activities in the communities. That was very interesting, given the particularities of Lusaka's groundwater and sanitation coverage. So I would like to hear also, I mean, for all of us, the last year has been very special, in the pandemic situation. Could you handle this situation with restrictions on community meetings, etc.? And also an aspect, could you mention, we saw that the communication is not just one way, but maybe you learned also something in the community meeting for your practices and for your daily business. So could you mention a little bit more what you might have learned in the communication with the communities? I don't know, maybe Mrs. Siyeni, you have, or Mr. Musungo, please feel free to take the word.
Hi. Thank you very much once again. I think in view of the COVID situation, I think it's been a very difficult time for everyone, and also difficult, obviously, for outreach activities. So as a Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company, what we did to ensure that we engage the community was to have above the line communication, which obviously involves more of radio and TV engagements. So we drafted messages which were aimed at engaging the members of the community, and those messages were broadcast on radio and TV, considering that during the time, most of the people were working from home, and most of the people were at home, and obviously in that situation, communicating using radio and TV becomes more effective, because of the situation, people are more glued to TV and radio. And so that is what we were doing, encouraging also our customers to avoid coming to our customer service offices, and take advantage of the e-payment platforms which we have, so they can pay their bills using their phone in the convenience of their homes. In addition to that, for other communities, we embarked on what we call the road shows. So we drive through these communities in peri-urban areas with a megaphone mounted on the van, and then we are making announcements with regards to our service delivery, and just important messages of COVID prevention, and just how they can keep themselves safe. Thank you.
Thank you. So any more comments on the issue, especially on what maybe you as a water utility have learned from the community meetings? Or more in general, what also has been raised in the chat is if there are any lessons learned from communication on groundwater, something you can recommend, what were the specific challenges you have faced, and what maybe the youth can contribute to spread knowledge on groundwater issues. So maybe first to Lusaka, and afterwards to Jordan, this question.
Yeah, one lesson we've learned that when you explain to the communities that there's the threat to the groundwater vulnerability, I think they have it difficult to understand the science. So making it as simple as possible is interesting, and I think I've learned something from the Jordan way. I think illustrations helped. We have a map which was developed jointly with BGR, which we are using to show that these are areas that are highly vulnerable. Then secondly, when you get water from the groundwater, even a shallow well, it looks very clean and all. Now to convince people that this water is not safe to drink is another challenge. So I think issues of trying to demonstrate the link between the catchment activities to the groundwater is something which we are pressing upon. As you could see, issues of solid waste management become key. So to bring in that knowledge that what is on the surface, and when it rains, this is going to infiltrate and ultimately affect the quality of the water. Thank you.
Thank you. And maybe from Jordan, can you give us a key recommendation on how to communicate groundwater? What is the main lesson learned, so to say, maybe from your perspective?
I would say, based on our experience, a lot of people are aware of the situation here, but really about the severity, because it's always difficult to really imagine what is underneath your feet. People have ideas, there might be a lake, and they don't believe that there's not a lake. And this is why we work together with Emma to really address those ideas, non-realistic ideas, and correct them. Maybe, Matt, you would like to add?
Well, yes, I would like to add something. If there's a lesson out of all this, I think it's, we are talking about the very shocking facts in Jordan, and with all appreciation of all efforts done by the Ministry of Water and other formal sites in Jordan, I think people of Jordan need to know, and they need to face the facts. It's the first step to solve any problem, whatever how hard it was, is to know the facts. And if you ask me, I'll tell you our problem in Jordan, that we have lots of misinformation about the water shortage and the groundwater of Jordan. Lots of conspiracy theories are spread in Jordan public, and this is really not good. And this is why we want to make it straightforward, simple, and showed in numbers. In numbers cannot lie, and put people to the facts with the scientific perspective of Jordan reality of groundwater. So I think the lesson would be is to stick with realities and present them in the most powerful way you find to the people.
Thank you all, and yeah, time has been flying. We are approaching like the end of our session, and I would like to thank you all very much for your insights, for your availability to take questions on the work you have done, and I think you have given us many ideas of how to communicate these sometimes very complex issues, how to reduce the complexity in order to have really transport the message, which is that groundwater is a precious resource, and if we want to use it for our future generations, we have to conserve it and protect it. And yeah, therefore I want to thank a lot to my colleagues also in Zambia and in Jordan, and also here in Hanover. And we will, of course, we can post the links to the cartoon that has been made in Jordan, which you can see on our YouTube channel from VGR. The link is in the chat already. And yeah, with that, I say goodbye. Hope to see you again, and wish you all a very interesting sessions, following sessions in the World Water Week. And yeah, many greetings to Lusaka and Amman. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.